Hello everyone, my name's Idiotic Synergy and today we're talking about the Repentia squad. Though that was obvious in title. But it is two units in one because not only are we talking about the Repentia, we're talking about the Superior as well. Because both units come in this little box. And I find it weird how there's only 9 Repentia when you can take them in squads of 10. So I don't know what's going on there, unless, you find one on eBay, like just one on its own. And Repentia are like mild body horror. I do like the sisters a lot. I think they're a really cool unit. But yeah, just really fucked up body horror. I mean, look at this woman here. She's got a tongue removed and it's replaced with a purity seal. If that's not enough, then look at this one here, who, by the way, I've seen this model before being used for Redemptionists. In fact, I've seen all of these models be used for Redemptionists, and it's completely fine because Redemptionists are really cool. But, like, look at all the weird, like, metal things just jammed in their arms and legs and like this really sharp thing that cuts into their arms. Basically, for those of you that don't know, a Repentia squad is made up of sisters that made a mistake. It sounds so mild, doesn't it? Basically, these are sisters that have done something bad, so they're being punished. And the best way to punish a sister, I guess, is just give them a massive chainsword, send them to die, and if they live, then they're forgiven. Uh, I do like the absolute absurdity of them, but I also like the body horror element to them. I mean, look at this one here. She's been branded with the sister symbol and also had her arm removed. That is really fucked up. I like the huge amounts of purity seals everywhere, though. That is quite funny. Again, this one has been branded and there's like scars on her legs and it's really fucked up. But compared to the Argo Flagellants, this is probably a better fate. At least at the end of this, if you live, you're forgiven and you're welcomed back quite happily. But an Argo Flatulent isn't going to get forgiven at all. It's just going to be the worst experience of its life. And I do feel bad for them. Especially, I've read something of the lore about them, and they are just really fucked up. I love it. I love it to bits, and I want to talk about it, but that's for a different video. But yeah, I absolutely love the fact that they're armed with massive chain swords, known as eviscerators, and they're just really good in game. I think they're really good in game. However, you are going to have to take Repentia's superiors with them. Because if you don't and you just take Repentia as normal, they won't do as much. So I think it is quite nice that you do get this alongside, normal Repentia. And yeah, you might as well take a Repentia Superior if you're going to take, regular Repentia. Because why wouldn't you? They are such a cool unit. And I love the body horror. It's so good. It's a lot better. In my opinion, it's a lot better than the older models. I know some people prefer, like, the face. Yeah, I know some people... Yeah, that face is terrifying. Where was I? Oh, yes. I know some people prefer, like, the old models to the new. Because, the old ones were sort of like pin-ups. Like pin-up models. It didn't really have body horror. It was more... some people like that. I personally don't. I prefer the body horror. And it's a perfect example of how fucked in the head the Ecclesiasci... I'm mispronouncing it anyway. But it shows how fucked they are. If that's what they do with sisters that make a mistake... And then you have the Argo Flagellants, and then the Penitence engines, which I am going to talk about because they're their own kind of fucked up. They're like dreadnoughts, but for sisters, and it's horrible. I love them. They are just grotesque, and there's so many things I can talk about here because the sisters of battle are really fucked up, and they're really cool. But yeah, this is the Sister Superior model, and honestly, it looks really cool. I do like it. it does look menacing. And also, she's quite good in game, surprisingly so. And also, here we have the rest of the Repentia, and I love the paint jobs on them. They are really good, and again, I've seen them being used for Redemptionists, and they are very easy to do. Hell, even if you do Redemptionist Jews, they would fit, because you can bring Eviscerators, and it would fit Necromunda to an absolute T. I love these things. I think Argo Flatulence will fit, yeah, they fit fucking Necromunda to a T as well. I can easily see House Cawdor using Argo Flagellants, and I think I might use them. But yeah, this is awesome. It is just really well painted as well, but the sculpts are really cool, and they're all in lovely plastic, and I'm glad these got updated. So yeah, I think we need to have a look at the rules on both, because you need one without the other, otherwise it's just weird. And yeah, very nice units, very fucked up, but let's see how they play in game. I know how they play in game. I looked at the rules. They're quite good. They are surprisingly quite good, but you do need the Repentia Superior. Otherwise, they aren't really going to do as much. I'll show you what I mean. So, the Repentia Superior. We're going to start with her first, because it's a lot easier. It's only the one model you have to worry about. So, she's 40 points, moves 6 inches, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 3, strength 3, toughness 3, 4 wounds, which is a lot more than I was expecting. I thought she would only have 3, to be fair, but she has got 4. Attacks 5, which that's a lot of attacks for this one unit. Leadership 8, save of a 3. Now, she is armed with a bolt pistol, because of course, why not? Neural whips, which is traumatizing as it sounds. Strength of the user, so strength 3, AP minus 2, damage 1. Each time an attack is made with this weapon against a unit, excluding vehicle units, if no model in that unit has a leadership characteristic of 8 or more, add 1 to the attack's wound roll. Yeah, it's really... yeah, you're wounding things on 4s. That might not sound like the best thing ever, but you have got miracle dice, and you've got 5 attacks. And also, you're usually surrounded with Repentia, so if the Repentia can't kill it, then she will. The Superior will. And frag grenades, yeah, she has frag and crack grenades, because why not? So, Scourge of the I can't pronounce this word. Scourge of the Penitent. If you have a detachment, or if your army is battleforged, then for each detachment that includes a sister Repentia unit, one Repentia Superior unit can be included in that detachment without taking up a battlefield role slot. I recommend you make use of that and take her with the Repentia. Then you've got Driven Onwards. Now this rule in particular makes Repentia worth taking. So you select one friendly Repentia unit within 3 inches of this model. If you do so, then until the end of the turn, this model and that unit are both eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which they advanced. So they can advance and charge. Believe me when I say that this is vital, because without it, you're not really going to get anywhere. So I highly recommend you take the Superior with you. And until the end of the turn, each time a charge roll is made for this model or that unit, roll 1 additional d6 and discard one of the results. I must stress that this is a lifesaver. I have seen it with my own eyes. I have seen I don't want to hype it up too much because there's no Invon save or anything, but you're always surrounded by fucking Repentia anyway, so who gives a shit? But I have seen that happen where they move 12 inches and then they just you know, completely destroy a dreadnought. It's insane, that, and I highly recommend you take a superior with you. And also, Overseer of Redemption is a very useful ability, because within 6 inches of this model, each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to the wound roll. So yeah, highly recommend you take the superior. I highly recommend that. Also, yeah, Faith Dice and Acts of Faith, and it's really useful. And also, Shield of Faith, which is a 6-up invulnerable save. Yeah, I don't really count. I know I said, oh, it doesn't have a save, but a 6-up invulnerable save isn't anything to write home about. Yes, it can save you, but it's a 6. And unless you're incredibly lucky, and I've seen it happen, where you roll like 3 6s, then yeah, I've done that before. I was playing my Death Guard. This was an 8th, and Typhus got shot with like 2 las cannon shots, and I didn't save any of them. So I had to. I think I had like 4 wounds remaining, and it was disgustingly resilient. So I just rolled like a shit ton of dice, and he only got wounded 3 times, so he was on 1 wound remaining. Such a tough unit, Typhus is. So he was so good in 8th, and in 9th he's probably as good, but I prefer his 8th edition counterpart because he's just that good. Anyway, I do digress. So that is the superior, and honestly, let's just get into the other Repentia, or the normal Repentia, however you want to word it. So, Repentia, and yeah, Zealot's wonderful. Yeah, I just want to spoil what Zealot does because I can't hold it in. It's the best thing ever. Every time you make a charge move, or you were charged, or you perform a heroic intervention, you can reroll attacks hit rolls. That thing is so good. It's so good, especially when you hit on freeze. That's right, you hit on freeze, and you can have a unit of 10. But if you have a unit of 9, that's fine as well, because each one has 2 attacks, son. That's right, 2 attacks each. It's so good. It's so good. You can just chew through all kinds of bullshit with that. It's wonderful. So, movement 6, again, superior will save your life. For a while, at least. Weapon skill 3. Ballistic skill 3, even though they don't have a gun. Strength, toughness 3. Wounds 1, so they're incredibly fragile. But, if you're quick, and you get the first turn, just get in there and start slicing people to death. Yeah, really fun. Leadership 8. Save of a 7. So they don't really get a save. However, they do get Shield of Faith, where they get a 6-up invulnerable save. So there's that, and also Acts of Faith and Sacred Rites. So they get a bunch of janky shit to save them. And then you get their massive chain sword, which is their best weapon. So Strength times 2, Strength 6, AP minus 3, Damage 2. Wonderful against infantry. Kind of funny to see it go up against dreadnoughts. Just the best thing ever once you see it go against, you know, tanks and stuff. It's hilarious. Yeah, especially with the Repentia superior near you, because then you can like wound on falls and shit. It's the best thing. So the Eviscerator, so Strength 6, AP minus 3, Damage 2. And yes, you have to subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll. However, with Zealot, you can re-roll it. So, Solace and Anguish. Each time you lose a wound, roll 1d6 on a 5-up. That wound is not lost. And Martyrdom. This fucking thing's the best, and I know why people like Repentia. Basically, every time this unit is destroyed during any other phase, during any phase other than the morale phase, then at the end of that phase you gain 1 miracle dice. Yeah, I know someone that brought like a bunch of units of Repentia, but it was only like unit, like 4-man units or 4-system units, however you want to word it. And yeah, every time they lost one, they'd gain a miracle dice. It was insane. But yeah, that wasn't. You see, usually there's the rules of 3, but sometimes your friends will forget that the rule of 3 doesn't exist or does exist. So sometimes you can go to a game and your friend will just bring 6 death strikes, which to this day is the best thing ever. Or one of my friends even brought like just whoops all grots. That was his entire list. His movement phase took 2 hours because it was a 2,000 point game, but he just brought whoops all grots. So we were just sat there going, yeah, how long is this going to take? Yeah, quite a while. I'm going to advance some as well. Oh, joy. Here he is. There's no tray either. He's just one by one, just, yep, this is what I want to do. He won, though, because he brought, like, a fuck ton of grots, and it was the best game ever. Anyway, I love that sometimes where you don't have to pay attention to the rules. It's so good. It's like, yeah, rules are free. Yeah, I just brought 2,000 points worth of grots. Enjoy that. There's no variation. It's just grots. Oh dear, just whoops all grots with HQ choices being Dered, Gobbo, and Mirakai. Or Meraki. Or can't pronounce his name. The best army ever. It's so dumb. I love it. But anyway, yeah, that's it. Repentia, solid unit, and I've been Idiotic Synergy. So I will see you later. Remember, take care, stay safe, and look after each other. Bye for now.